Los Angeles has a particular glow at night that feels both beautiful and dangerous at the same time. Neon signs flicker against the horizon, traffic hums like a restless heartbeat, and strangers cross paths without ever knowing the stories they're walking past. On nights like this, people say that the city reveals its true nature: unpredictable, loud, alive, and sometimes terrifying. And on one such night, a Filipino Uber driver named Marco would stumble into a situation that would test his instincts, his courage, and everything he believed about doing the right thing. Marco had lived in Los Angeles for only 4 years. Like many Filipinos who came to America, he carried with him a quiet determination, the type that makes you work hard even when no one is watching. Before LA, he'd been a tricycle driver in Bohol. He spent most days under the sun, weaving through narrow streets, greeting tourists, and dreaming of a better life for his 2 kids back home. When his wife convinced him to apply for a US work program, he thought she was joking. But dreams have a strange way of becoming reality for those who cling to them with sincerity. In LA, he worked 2 jobs, a morning shift in a Filipino grocery store and Uber driving during the nights. The store paid the bills, but driving felt like an adventure. Every night he got to meet people from different corners of the city: artists, chasing breakthroughs, nurses rushing to their night shifts, lost tourists, drunk friends arguing over who should pay the fare, and lonely souls who just wanted someone to listen. But on one specific Thursday night, just past 11:30 p.m., Marco accepted a ride request from a girl named Jasmine. The pickup location was outside a dimly lit bar in Hollywood. At first, he didn't think much of it. Bars in LA always had people waiting for rides, especially girls who didn't want to walk alone. He pulled over, hazard lights blinking, and waited. That's when he noticed her. A girl, maybe 18 or 19, shifted anxiously near the curb. She kept looking over her shoulder like someone was following her. She clutched her phone tightly, her breathing shallow, sunglasses still on despite the darkness. Something about her discomfort made Marco instinctively pay attention. His years of driving in the Philippines, where intuition often mattered more than rules had, taught him to sense tension before it escalated. She rushed toward his car, opened the back door, and slid inside. "Are you Marco?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Yes," he answered. "Uber for Jasmine?" "Yes," she whispered, then immediately locked the door. Before he could pull away from the curb, a tall man wearing a dark hoodie appeared from the shadows and slammed his palm against the rear window. The sound reverberated through the car like a gunshot. Marco froze, hands gripping the steering wheel. The man leaned closer, trying to peer through the tinted glass. His expression was hard to read, but his clenched jaw told its own story. "Drive," Jasmine whispered urgently. "Please, please go." And so he did. As the car rolled into traffic, Marco glanced at her through the rearview mirror. She was shaking uncontrollably, her fingers digging into her backpack. Her breathing came in uneven bursts, like she was struggling to keep herself from breaking down. "You okay?" he asked gently. She didn't answer at first. Instead, she pulled off her sunglasses, revealing red, swollen eyes. "I just need to get home," she murmured. I think you followed me from the bar." Marco nodded slowly. He had heard his share of stories from passengers, bad dates, creepy strangers, close calls, but something about this felt different. There was fear in her voice, real fear, the kind that makes your stomach twist because you know you're being hunted. He checked the side mirror. The same man was now getting into a black sedan parked near the bar. A moment later, the sedan pulled out and joined the traffic flow behind them. Marco felt a cold shiver crawl up his spine. He'd been in LA long enough to understand that danger here didn't always shout. Sometimes it followed quietly. He kept driving, but the sedan maintained the same distance, switching lanes whenever he switched lanes. At the next stoplight, the sedan pulled up 2 cars behind them. Marco's heart began pounding. "Is that him?" Marco asked. Jasmine nodded, tears forming again. "He kept trying to talk to me inside the bar," she said quietly. "I told him no. He grabbed my arm. The bartender told him to leave me alone. But when I left, he followed me. I didn't know what to do." Marco inhaled deeply. He remembered how he used to guide nervous tourists back in Bohol when they felt unsafe. He remembered how his own daughter, still in high school, told him stories about strangers who made her uncomfortable. And he remembered how he promised himself that if he ever saw someone in danger, he wouldn't look away. He was a father. And fathers protect. Without informing Jasmine, he gently took a right turn that was not on the Uber route. Normally, doing this would risk a low rating or a complaint, but this time he didn't care. "Why are we turning?" she asked nervously. "To shake him off," Marco replied, checking the mirror again. "Don't worry. I won't let anything happen to you." The sedan followed. That confirmed everything. Marco's faint fear transformed into firm resolve. He turned off the main boulevard and entered a series of narrow residential streets. A lot at night can feel like a maze, quiet, dim, and strangely isolating. The sedan continued tailing them, though once it almost lost visibility before speeding up again. "We should call 911, Jasmine whispered, clutching her phone. "Yes," Marco agreed. "Call them now?" She dialed, voice shaky. She explained the situation, gave their location, and the operator instructed them to head to the nearest police station. But the closest one was still 15 minutes away. Marco realized he needed to buy time. So he drove, weaving through quieter streets, occasionally accelerating when the sedan got too close. He kept reassuring Jasmine, telling her stories about his own daughter, reminding her that she wasn't alone. "You're doing great," he said softly. "Just breathe." "I'm here." This calmed her. Sometimes the simplest words are the most powerful. Finally, he spotted a brightly lit 24-hour gas station. People were still around, including a few customers outside and an attendant sweeping the pavement. The gas station had security cameras, lots of them. A safe place. He turned into the station abruptly, stopping near the entrance door. "Get down," he instructed gently. "Stay low. I'll be right here." The sedan pulled into the lot seconds later. The man got out. Marco stepped out of his own car. At 5'7", he wasn't the tallest, but something about him shifted in that moment. He looked straight at the man approaching him. The lights glared bright overhead. The air felt charged. The man took several steps forward, eyes locked on the back seat where Jasmine hid. "That girl," the man said. "She left her phone in the bar." "I'm just trying to help her." Marco stood firm. "She's not interested," he said calmly. The attendant noticed the tension and began moving closer. A customer looked up from pumping gas. Another person pulled out their phone and started recording. The man froze, realizing the situation had changed. People were watching. The gas station was well lit, and he was no longer anonymous. He lingered for 2 more seconds, then turned and walked swiftly back to his sedan. The car reversed fast, tires screeching, and sped out of the lot. Marco exhaled heavily, only now feeling how much his hands were shaking. When he got back inside the car, Jasmine burst into tears loud, overwhelming sobs of fear, relief, and gratitude all mixing together. She leaned forward, hugging the back of his seat. "Thank you," she cried. "Thank you so much. I don't know what would have happened if you didn't pick me up." Marco felt his chest tighten. He thought of his daughter again. "You're safe now," he said gently. "That's what matters." The police arrived 10 minutes later, took statements, and reviewed the gas station footage. They told Jasmine she did the right thing, calling 911, and praised Marco for keeping her safe and staying observant. After everything settled, Marco drove her home, this time with police cars patrolling nearby to ensure they weren't followed. When they arrived at her apartment building, Jasmine turned to him and said something he would never forget. "You didn't even know me," she said softly. "But you protected me like family." Marco simply smiled. "In moments like that," he replied, "we are family." She hugged him before getting out of the car, tears drying under the city lights. Marco sat still for a moment longer, processing everything that had happened. He looked at the empty back seat where she had cried, shaken, and scared for her life. And he felt grateful that he was there at the right time, that he listened to his instinct, that he stepped up when someone needed him. Driving home that night, he thought about how people say heroes wear capes. But in LA, sometimes heroes wear Uber jackets, hold steering wheels, and see danger before others do. Marco never saw Jasmine again after that night. But the memory stayed with him, carved into his heart like a reminder of who he was and what he stood for. A Filipino father, a hardworking immigrant, a quiet protector in a city that often forgets to look out for one another. And the Uber driver who saved a girl from a dangerous situation simply because doing the right thing was the only thing he knew how to do.